So this is Sift, and I might get one poem in before it starts pouring. Kahwa, cafe, kave, kahua, kahue, kawa, kahwa. Assume nothing. The cops will eventually find you. The poem you think, the breath, no matter how long you hold it, takes time. To nearly as a way to disrupt whatever rhythm the flesh has been wirelessly aligned to the left margin, to this phrase global obscurité. After taking in, after ingesting, to speak as a form of swallowing, let us assume a film of someone speaking in reverse, as if gulping a lush transparency of what we, in every pore, inhale. I will never in my life have enough money to buy a decent espresso machine, even that discount disposable plastic cup George Clooney's face sold the world. Definition of an actor, disposable face. Everything one now consumes online was once experienced socially, including, to state the obvious, poetry. The obvious, open, exposed, commonplace, or that which is frequently in the way, like a pop-up ad holding two bags, the man who stood in front of a column of tanks in Tiananmen Square, shopping bags, as if he had just returned from buying socks or food. One in the grainy CNN footage seems closer to a backpack, which he swings at the tank, telling those inside to get the fuck out of his way. The raw footage features the voices of those holding the camera, US Americans, the white Midwestern college teen glee with which they say, "You see that guy, he's going in front of the tank." The video now, as I write, on a browser behind this screen with only the sound, oh my god, the machine gun fire, the shouts from the street, ambient metallic feedback from the mic, a crowd roars, claps. He's climbing it. I am simply doing the most obvious possible thing as I write. My laptop speakers shake with gunfire, no less real, a kind of stunned, yanked, after taking in, after ingesting. I feel when the video ends, yanked back into Berlin. Edub, my body, it's raw footage. I have not moved for 10 minutes. I need more than anything to stand up. My coffee empty, just a ring, a crust of grains at the bottom, a constellation, black swirls already now nearly dry, a pattern, if I read it, a hill, outposts, the West Bank, settlers pushing houses along the ridges that offer a way for those living there to look out over the Palestinian land. The most obvious thing, my body, I have forgotten to leave one's body, or the ability to, is from the start for some the buildings a luxury, might as well not even house Israeli settlers. They might as well be empty. They might as well just sit there. That's what they are there for, to sit there overlooking the valley, to dominate the eye of those looking up as I write. The most obvious thing, my nail, my ringless left ring finger painted aqua green. My friend Valentina, it's chipped, painted it. I can measure time since I last saw you. The green zone, why the fuck is it called that and not the blood zone? You painted it with one clean motion that I could, beneath the nearly senseless surface of the nail, almost feel. More than nail polish, I love the little brushes that distribute it. Soon the fleck of green will be, especially with the next cup of coffee, chewed off. Already my child at 3 is obsessed with the tissue-thin skin that frays off a cuticle, or just below it. She, here, let me know. It's mine, Papa, it's mine. And I'm like, whoa, okay, you eat it. So obvious, this insistence, hers, her body is, I give what is hers to her, which is not mine to give in either hand. Refuse this world, what it takes. Let your bags empty, balance you. Let nothing pass. So the book is sort of organized around sections, each of which explores a word in English of clear Arabic or suspected Arabic origin. And I kind of started looking at these words and picking them up and listening to them and turning them over, holding them, maybe the way one would kind of listen to a shell, and thinking about the histories of these words and how they found their way into English, which of course is a colonial history in many cases. And I was also translating from the Arabic, or co-translating, a book by a Moroccan philosopher, and so the poems started moving towards the right margin and to right to left reading pattern. So you'll hear a little bit of that in here. Kırmez, Kermez, Kermiz, Kermez, Keremiz, Kermiz. And it hides there in plain sight, hues that fix folds, wave in length, intent cities of color, red nails and power ties, twisted logic board rooms, brown luxide swivel chairs, waiting for the vowelless dry mouths of capitalists, blue suggesting royalty, purple majesty, dare, desire and power, Kermes, Palestinius, present in the ancient robes, the king's red, vermilion, ground from the dried eggs of scale insects, the trade one long run-on commodity looping back and forth between oceans, trade routes, until Spanish colonizers discovered a longer lasting fiery red crimson dye, cochineal, sessile parasites, scraped by indigenous Inca and Maya off the ocean green paddles of Nopali cacti, dried and ground, a red powder worth as much as silver, and used to dye wool coats, British red coats, to even think this map wound crimson colonial in tang lament aches nearly always entirely physically, because objects wound surplus past adverb to say these dyed textiles, the poem died, I am emblued, pause, rewind, wound to follow trace all the way to ghosts, scraping the poem a greenly worded ocean, because to pause is a way to pay sleepless, sessile, aching attention in the cavity where the heart of whatever chamber touches another, whatever logic scrapes off whatever soundboard, Palestinously listening, whatever color comes full circle, it aches, because circling a commodity, any measure of ghosts, any urge to move with a speed that allows the poem to be forgotten. No words like cecility and cochineal, clusters scraped from cacti paddles into a bowl. In the drawing, it is a carved wooden bowl held by the laborer collecting the insects right behind, literally walking right behind every colonial invader, scientists cataloging and sorting and extracting, and then the artists, and then the poets too. Saddening or rousing, giving a crimson cast to red, or giving fire to red, this color of a feeling suddenly died, which is not unlike the feeling reaching the end of a poem, the sense you have become a liquid color filling out your limbs, heart, hands, lips. The vehicle that allows knowledge to expand is the flesh that carries also the words this knowledge exceeds, and it dies you, mostly, meaning for the most part, meaning in the main, meaning customarily speechless in a wooden bowl, did, it, did, et, the dead language us in colors no one owns, blue ashes of burnt goat dung, black grape skins, crushed fresh radish flowers, a little rainwater, greenly worded, and let stand in a clean vessel. Kohil, Al-Kul, Kul, Kahal, Kajol, Kajal, Kohil, Kol. made of coal. End poem right there on the head of a German chancellor. No plugin available. To view this content is never more than an extension of what you imagine politics, I mean how you love to be open to feeling the soft, mute edge of a feather of an eyelash, a border, peripherally on fire, tight lining, Sialwa, always on the computer. I forget to breathe because I want to feel if I am still Idab. A body online demonstrates to you how to line the rim of your eyelid with a sulfide mineral. The boy king Tut. The tomb's discovery led to the widespread use of eyeliner by women, although, hello, it was a boy wearing it. Coal or stibnite, also used as flash powder and safety matches, if only the first Western aristocratic European wives trying on eyeliner. Boom. What bothers me, breathe, is helmet coal. What bothers me are his glasses, the same frames worn globally by aging men who crave power. In the 80s, just after Die Wende, Kohl met with Gorbachev to make sure Russia would not oppose reunification. They looked longingly at each other's glasses, said nothing, shook hands, deal. To curl and push towards some outer limit of a way of framing attention by writing, love, I was talking, who was it, Irene, breathe. After a conversation with a friend, I write down a list of what we, everything I can remember, Lusten, Old English, Lusten, the please, Old Norse, Lista, to desire, see, lust, but also Hilstan, from Hilst, hearing, akin to Hilsnan, to listen. Often I return to a meadow and just sit there listlessly, since there's no one else in the meadow with me. How boring is that? It begins on the body. Had Kohl and Gorbachev been Egyptian pharaohs, they would have been wearing thick eyeliner. Wishful thinking. A gesture of seeking peripherally in the mirror of the other cracks. Hence the Deutsche Morgenländische Gesellschaft and other scholarly organizations backed by empires extracting all over Egypt and Persia every possible ancient artifact. Robert Caldaway, 1855 to 1925, from Blankenberg, whiteness's pretense of originless, as if it's the natural order. He claimed also to have found the Tower of Babel, but every time he spoke, no one understood him. In the geometry of the image, his gaze seems to be listening very hard to his own beard. Side dog, bodies shuffled around the world. Black sites. I lived across the street from an abandoned prison. In Brooklyn, weeks after 9/11, the lights went on. Black, unmarked SUVs, 3 a.m., 4. There were no bars because there were no windows at night. I felt its steel weight on my chest. My cat, Jerry, would only half look in its direction, although maybe cats only half look at everything, although maybe also especially themselves. Sitaget, no. On the gates of Ishtar in Berlin, there are animals in relief. No, they're not relaxed. I mean, the bricks yellow as if of gold. A lion emerges from the wall into a third dimension, but only the right legs, the legs facing you, protrude, as if held between walls, worlds, a colonial museum, a black site. Irene, what was it? What we, everything, we discussed it. Breathe. I'll stop there. Thank you, Sade, for your beautiful reading. And thank you, everyone, for coming out on this really beautiful, windy, stormy night. It's so good to see so many of you here, and many people I haven't seen in a long time. So thank you.